Hello and welcome back. I want to show you some technical demos that we've built to figure out some of those app features that we were confused about, and I want to show you version 2 of our app design. Now, just in case you're brand new here, this is a raw and unscripted video format where I share our team's journey in building apps for profit. This vlog entry is dated November 3rd, which is about 3 weeks since the last one. With that said, please enjoy. Hello and welcome back. In this vlog entry, I want to show you the updated design, some features that we've built out in demo projects just to prove some of the functionality. And then number 3 is some of the mental obstacles and roadblocks that I've been facing with this project that I'm sure is common and that you might face as well when you try to build your own app. So first of all, let's take a look at this new and updated design. And also I want to take a little more time to explain the thought process behind some of the decisions that have been made. So the first thing is onboarding. And I actually don't know if we're going to have one of these splash screens, to be honest, because these days you just want to jump right into the app. Okay, so you can think of it as first launch. I think you probably get to this view. We're going to have 1 or 2 or 3 maybe onboarding views just to explain some of the benefits of using the app and what would happen if you use the app. We're not going to ask for notifications right away. So this is outdated, this part at least. I think it's a better idea to ask for notifications when the user takes an action that needs it. So then they have context. So then they're more likely to allow it. So for example, if they want to set a reminder, an alarm, that would make total sense if you pop this up and ask them permission to remind them, right? Okay, so this part is a little bit weird because we're asking for a review right in the onboarding. And this does not make intuitive sense to me. And I don't think to anybody it would. But I mentioned in the first vlog, or was it the second one, about how I am learning from app masters, and Steve works with clients. He does a ton of experimenting, and he's done tests where you ask for a review a little later or right up in the onboarding, and you actually end up with more reviews if you ask them way up front. So I don't know what it is, but I want to try this out for myself. So let's see. And also from watching his interviews with other app developers, I've learned that it's really important to get this initial set of reviews. It's almost as if you're not going to gain any traction in terms of showing up in the App Store and App Store recommending you unless you have this certain threshold of reviews and ratings. So I think one of the initial mountains to climb when we launch the app is going to be collecting enough of these reviews. And I've learned through watching those interviews, there are a couple of strategies for doing this. Next is asking for payment or subscription from right after the onboarding screen. So I think a lot of apps do this these days. I've seen that. And again, based on app masters, experimentation, and case studies, this tends to generate really good revenue by having the paywall right after the onboarding screen. So that's definitely something you want to do if you want to make money from your app. Okay, so we get to this screen where initially they don't have anything logged. So you can log something like this. One of the design decisions that we made was to be able to log very quickly, and then only adding details if you want to and if you have time to. So you're going to be able to just select one of these and then hit save, and there you've logged your emotion right then and there. However, if you wanted to go further, you could add details, and this is where you can add any one of these options or all of them. So in the last design that I show you in V1, location, our designer thought it was actually a GPS coordinate location, but I told him it's not. It's actually like your house or your friend's house. And this is solely so that we can relate data back to it. And then I also talked to you a little bit about the struggle with how are we going to get the user to log data in a standardized way, right? Because one time when you log this, you might say my house, or another time you might say, I don't know, my building or something like that, just as an example. But you mean the same thing, but you're just typing it differently. The way that we have hopefully is a good way to combat that, we'll find out, is as you're typing it out to show an autocomplete of your recent type-ins. So if you have typed in house before, maybe you're typing in house, it'll show up. So then you just select it. And that way, hopefully, that promotes consistency in terms of how you're naming your locations. So same thing with activities and people. This is also something where I think perhaps may need a little bit more experimenting or a little bit more thought. You can also type in your own mood, your custom mood, and you can have that for the future. Once you've set it up, you can select the color. This is a standard iOS control. Okay, so let's go on. This is the calendar view where you can review your past logs. And this is a zoomed out view. So you're viewing months. This is more of a zoomed in view where you can scroll up and down through your logged emotions or moods. Okay, and there's a little bit more. There's a profile screen or insights screen where this is standard, right? You have your name, your profile photo. You can take a photo or you could select one. We want to show some sort of data, some sort of high level insights. And if the user ends up logging more data and we figure out how to do the AI part, then we can show actual interesting insights, such as when you're in this location, you're usually happy, or when you're with this person, you're usually sad, giving you insights into your life that you may not have noticed. And then this is just a settings screen. Some of these options you have to have as part of the App Store requirements, such as privacy policy and terms and conditions, a way to visit your website, and delete account as well. You need to have that. Report a bug and submit a feedback are just things that if you want to improve your app, you should probably have those things just so that you can update your app according to what users are thinking. It's very important. Okay, so that's the design. There were some parts that we didn't know how to do. For example, the calendar here. The calendar, this calendar, for example, do we have to build our own or can we use an existing one? So UIKit has a calendar. You can actually put a wrapper around it and use it in your Swift UI project. There are other calendars controls that people have built out there. So now let me show you what we've done. And actually, to be honest, I haven't worked on any of this stuff. This calendar proof of concept has been worked on by Iñaki on our team, and he took a third-party control and he customized it. So one of the challenges was how are we going to load all the data and also make sure it's memory efficient because you can keep scrolling, right? Some of that data needs to be lazy loaded, which is just another word for loaded on demand rather than loading everything up front. So another thing that we struggled with a little bit was how do we, because I wanted to have this gesture. He needed to prove this out and figure out how can we have a pinch to zoom out kind of view. So when you tap on this, a date, you should get this view right here. So this zoomed in view where you can scroll your logged moods for that day. And then there'll obviously be a button to get back to the calendar view and there will be the tab bar. But I also wanted this gesture to be able to just pinch and go back to the calendar. So that was what he was proving out. Okay, so another proof of concept that we did was just a basic logging one. So this was just using Swift data to log something. And yeah. Okay, so there was that. Oh, and the emoji picker as well. I think this was something that we wanted to try out. Another thing is a tag view where you might type in home, for example. I think maybe let's do people that you're with. So let's say I was with my wife, Ellen, and I was also with my friend, Sam. So we're just testing some of that functionality out. And that is like this functionality right here. So that's what we've done so far in terms of this app. Now I want to talk to you about some of the struggles that I've been facing. So right now, the team is bottlenecked by me because I need to sit down and really figure out how I want this part to work. I'm the most concerned about this data input part because I'm still not 100% convinced that this is going to be dummy proof enough to get clean data. And maybe we'll never get there. Maybe there is no possible way where we can have ultra clean data that can be analyzed because we're relying on user input. The problem that I've been facing is that I haven't been entirely focused on this because, as you can see here on my bookmarks bar, I've been working on some courses for our CWC Plus program. So I've been actually building some other apps for the course. So for example, there's this one I've been working on. And the reason why this might be relevant for you is that life gets in the way. You might have a full-time job, you might have school, you might have personal family things come up that you need to deal with. You might have other goals aside from just building an app. So all of these things are competing against this project and you need to prioritize things. So I haven't been putting the highest priority on this because I really want to get these courses out. I'm working on the databases one in particular. I really want to get that done by the end of November. And so I'm struggling with just allotting enough time to take this to the next step. And as a result, the team is working on something else now. So I think that I really need to sit down and do this because otherwise, the longer the gap between activity on this project, the more likely it is that this becomes another project cast aside in the graveyard of apps. I really don't want that. That's why I was trying to make this simple so we could launch it quickly because I knew that something like this would happen. And I think for you, as you're building your app, you might struggle with the same thing. Just sometimes losing motivation on it, losing that initial enthusiasm for it. And when that's gone, what's left? Right now, it just seems like work. So I think with every project that you want to push out the door, you go through this sort of like lull. And you just have to figure out some way to get back on it. One motivating aspect is actually having you watch the vlogs and seeing all these great comments about you really enjoying following the journey, because that is going to help me keep it going. Thank you so much for watching, and we will get this thing launched. Even if it's just the simplest app in the world, launch it and it will plan updates for it and we'll slowly improve it. Okay, I don't want this to fail. Again, thanks for following along. I'll see you in the next vlog.